This event is a non-commercial, purely academic event and the content, recording or any part of this event cannot be used for any commercial purposes.
Just give us few moments to show you one more digital opinion leader, Dr. Neeta Deshpande, speaking on Lantus for us.
Sure.
Welcome, Dr. Neeta, and thank you for this video related to this brand and for the World Pharma Brand Managers Day. Let me ask you a few questions. What is your immediate feeling when you hear about the brand Lantus?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me here to speak in this very different kind of forum. For the first time I'm doing this. Well, the first thing that comes to our mind when we think about Lantus is that it is really the first true basal insulin analog. And whenever we think of a basal insulin, always the comparison is with Lantus. So since it's like the early bird gets the worm, so that brand or that particular molecule as such is fixed in the minds of physicians that when you talk basal insulin, you talk Lantus. In fact, many a times Lantus is used synonymously with basal insulin. Rather than saying basal insulin, we always say Lantus. So that's the first thing that comes to mind, and that's a great achievement that they've been able to create that kind of awareness that it is actually Lantus has become like a generic name for basal insulins, in my opinion, when we talk about it.
Wonderfully put, Doctor. For this particular molecule, many companies with many brands have come up.
Yeah.
But what is it in this particular brand that takes it to the top of your mind? Like you may be hearing a lot of brand names over this particular.
Yeah. See, the basic thing is that the innovator molecule always gets the upper hand because all the R&D and everything has happened with the innovator. So what comes afterwards in this context, it would be biosimilars. So again, they always have to defend themselves. Lantus never has to defend itself because it is the innovator molecule. So when you talk about the other brands which come after it, rather the biosimilars which come after it, they are the ones who are defending it against the Lantus. So that always means that Lantus has the upper hand. So that is how it has positioned itself. And that happens with most innovator molecules.
Right, Doctor. Okay. Would you prefer a generic or a brand when it comes to this particular molecule?
I personally prefer always a brand. That has always been my personal choice because I feel that an R&D has been done. That is number one, and it has been tried, tested, and biosimilars they're very good. I know that you don't require many trials as it is for the innovator molecule because I have given a lot of lectures and debates on biosimilars versus the innovator molecule. But as I said, that the innovator molecule always has the upper hand, and the preference is always veers toward that despite the cost.
Right, ma'am. So this is a general question. Whenever a sales team from the company, even if for this brand visits you,
Yeah.
what do you look forward to from them?
In general, if it is a kind of a molecule that has got special attributes to it, we would like to know those attributes, because the run of the mill kind of things that are told to us about any insulin and all that need not be told to a specialist or to a super specialist, because that is already known. So if you want to really make it crisp, and what we expect is that anything new that has come up with it, that is more relevant to us, or any new data that has come, if there is any print or soft copy of that, that is what is expected. Second thing that is expected is that if this particular molecule is rolled out to the general physicians or to the general practitioners, they need to be made completely aware of how it is to be used and where it is positioned, because they are confused. And if they are not taught that properly, they may, first of all, flinch away from using it. Secondly, they are likely to even stop the usage of it because they won't know the titrations, the ups and downs. So they would rather not deal with it and go back to a molecule which they are familiar with. So when any new molecule like this is being launched, for example, it needs to be understood that it's, even if it is rolled out only to the super specialists, the doctors lower in the hierarchy need to know about it, at least so that they can continue the drug that has been started by a super specialist. So that, I think, is extremely important.
Very rightly said, ma'am. So, you must be looking at a lot of scientific material, even LBS from medical representative teams that visit you. So, what do you have to say about the simplicity of the message and the relationship building with the doctor?
Well, frankly speaking, the small flyers and all those things which come, I feel they are very superfluous. I don't think we look at them. If you want to really give something that is relevant, it needs to be either a whole article or it needs to be a nice summary of that, because the glossy things that used to come in the past, which still keep coming, those flyers, I don't really think it helps. So the message has to be crisp. So you have to decide basically upon what it is that you want the doctor to stick with and make it really crisp. Because if a whole lot of information is given in a single visit or even in two visits, not a lot of that is going to stick. So the two or three important take home messages which we give at the end of a lecture need to be given at the start, not at the end, so that it catches or holds the attention of the doctor. That is what I feel. And the very most important thing. And then if the doctor asks some questions, if there are concerns, those things can be highlighted. For example, for a basal insulin, the reduced amount of hypoglycemia, the flat profile, these things need to be highlighted. So what needs to be highlighted and what need not be highlighted, there has to be a clear divide, because you can't be giving all of the information in a single visit. The most important messages have to go out very, very crisply. That's what I feel.
Thanks, Dr. Neeta. Anything you would add upon related to the relationship building with the doctors by pharma companies?
Well, this is very, very individual. Again, it depends upon the doctor, his personal quirks or his personal, kind of attitude towards the pharma industry. There are some people who do not want to meet the pharma industry. There are some people who are very cordial with them. And then there are different kinds of extremes that you find. So what I feel is that every pharma person actually needs to understand the psychology of that particular doctor and have a tailor-made attitude towards approaching that doctor. Because I know in the training that is given to the pharma industry, a particular set of rules is given, but you cannot apply that same approach to all the doctors. Each doctor is different. So it's basically a mind game, a psychology game, where you need to know the pulse of that particular doctor and play upon that, or talk tailored to that, to what and not hit a raw nerve, or not rub the doctor the wrong way. I'm not saying doctors are so important that you have to give them so much importance that you have to understand how to deal with them, but ultimately it is a one-on-one dialogue. So in a one-on-one dialogue, especially when you want to try and convince a doctor about something, I think you need to understand the psychology. That's number one. Second, pushing too hard is not a good idea. If a doctor is really, really very busy and says that I can't talk to you today, pushing and pressing, I need just 2 minutes or I need just 3 minutes, how receptive do you think that doctor is going to be? I'm talking out of personal experience also in all of this. So if you catch the doctor in a mood where he can really listen to you, even if you meet him once in 3 months, but you've hit hard and hit the point really home, that is going to make far more impact than just, that on my checklist I've ticked this doctor today. That tick mark that is there, that's not going to get you prescriptions. So what is going to get you prescriptions is how effective you are in your communication with the doctor. That is what I feel.
Thank you, Dr. Neeta. These were wonderful insights that you provided, and I hope that all the pharma professionals find this useful and implement it in their daily practice. Thank you, doctor.
Thank you. Thank you so much
Thank you for
having
your
me.
time.
So that was Dr. Neeta Deshpande, obesity expert, diabetes expert, talking about her experiences and sharing with us.